What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It is time to dive into the NCAA Men's College Basketball National Championship game. 66 games later, we're left with just two teams, Florida and Houston. We've got the Gators coming in as 1-point favorites over the Cougars. Man, it's essentially a pick 'em. It was plus money on the board for like what, maybe 5 minutes, and now we see no plus money side on either of the money lines. The total sitting at 140.5 in this one. Now, let's not waste any time, man. We got a great game on our hands in this one. Let's jump right into the action. If you guys can hit that like button down there for me real quick, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get right into the mix, man. We saw Florida take down Auburn in the Final Four, 79-73. It was another come from behind victory, just like they did in the Elite Eight against Texas Tech. They trailed by 8 at the half in this one. Then they went on a 13-3 run to open up the second. Had them go up by 2, man, and then by then, it just kinda seemed like momentum just completely shifted into their direction. Now, don't get me wrong, this was still a close game. It was still a close game late, man, around 4 minutes to play, it was, what, a one-point game? But like I said, man, it just kinda felt midway through the second half that this was Florida's game to lose, and they weren't gonna leave without the victory. Now, Houston enjoyed a come-from-behind victory of their own. They they won in absolutely thrilling fashion, man. Look, I had Duke on the money line in that one, parlayed it with the total, so I was looking good, man, for most of this game, right? The Cougars trailed by 14 with a little over 8 minutes to play. Then they were down by 9 with over 3 minutes to play. And then from there, they held Duke to just 3 free throws, right? No made shots from the field in those final 3 minutes. In fact, Houston held Duke to just one made field goal over the last 10 and a half minutes of play. Yeah, Duke, the Blue Devils, and that explosive offense, man. One field goal in 10 and a half minutes to play to close out the game. Man, Houston won playing Houston's way. There's no other way to put it. They grinded away, right? They were down big. Coach Sampson, every huddle kept telling them, just hang in there. Keep plugging away, keep playing our game, basically. And they did. Houston showed the most heart from a team that I think I've ever seen in a college basketball game, maybe just a basketball game in general. And showed at the end of the day, man, that experience might just play a little bit of a factor in all of this, right? Because look, these upper class kids, they didn't blink an eye against the highly touted Blue Devil team with their 3 projected lottery picks, right? Their freshman phenoms. Houston knows exactly who they are, and they know just how dangerous they can be. So now we'll see these two match up for the chance to be crowned champs, and I think we're in store for another great finish, man. Like I said, this is going to be a great game. Walter Clayton has shined brightest for the Gators with his back-to-back 30-plus games now. The Cougars have a star in themselves in the backcourt, right? LJ Cryer, but he shot 45% from deep throughout the tourney so far. He had a 6 for 9 shooting display for 66% shooting from beyond the arc as well in the Final Four against Duke. So look, man, both of these guys, both of these teams have some firepower coming out of that backcourt. But these teams aren't one-man shows by any means, right? Both of them roll out an 8-man rotation, and both of them have plenty of support around these two stars. Elijah Martin, we have Will Richard. They both provide the Gators with scoring from the perimeter. We got Alex Condon, Ruben Chinleyu, and also Thomas Houck off the bench gives the Gators a strong interior presence as well. Martin had that nasty one-hand flush over 2 Auburn defenders on the fast break with, like 9 to 10 minutes of play. Man, I think that's really when the momentum shifted in Florida's direction in that game as well. Then Houston has a litany of playmaking guards that can create for themselves on their end, thriving in the mid-range and then also from deep as well. Starters Emmanuel Sharp and Milos Uzan both shoot over 40% from both 2 and 3. And then both reserves, Terrence Arsenault and Malik Wilson, both shooting over 34% from deep. Wilson 45% from 2, Arsenault 50%. Look, the Cougars don't get a ton at the rim. They have a shot share of under 25% for close range twos. They prefer that mid range and that 3 ball. Houston has shot the lights out through the tournament, though, man. 41% from deep. And you would think, right, like that at some point they have to see some regression and like we'll see that number drop. Man, no, they've been doing this all year long. They're sitting at 4th overall in the nation in 3-point shooting percentage, coming in just under 40% on the year. But with that said, the Gators have been tough on the perimeter defensively. They've held opponents under 30% from deep on the year, sitting at 10th overall for 3-point shooting percentage allowed, and they did just hold a good 3-point shooting Auburn team to just 28%. But for as good as this Florida's defense has been, man, Houston has just simply been that much better. Florida sits outside the top 10 for adjusted defensive efficiency at 15th. The Cougars, first. In 39 games, man, Houston has only allowed 70 or more points in just 6 of those 39 games. They're sitting at first overall in points per game allowed at just 58. And sure, man, looking at it, the Gators bring the better offense onto the court here in this one. They're sitting at second in the Ken Palms for offensive rating. Houston sits at 10th, though, and then my thing is, man, if Duke holds on for the win in that one, and it was them facing Florida in this game, wouldn't Duke be favored? Right? Wouldn't we be talking about how much offensive firepower they have, how excellent they are, how they're the greatest basketball team that we've ever seen in college, right? This would be the narrative, right? We would just be talking about how they just have that much more talent on that side of the ball. Now, I could be wrong, but I truly believe that would be the narrative, and we just witnessed how this Houston defense put the clamps on that Duke offense. Right. So I'm not saying that they're going to shut down this Florida offense by any means, but I'm pretty confident that this is an extremely tough and physical defense that's going to frustrate and at times stall this Gator offense, right? They've done it throughout the entire season so far with everybody that they've played. Now, you look at the Cougars, man, they have 4 losses on the year. 3 of those were in overtime. Right? They've lost very close games when they do lose, and it's not often. They're on an 18-game winning streak. Now looking at this one, Florida is definitely they're going to want to get out and run and gun early and often. This is what they tried to do against Auburn, and then they definitely had some success against them in doing so. Their play in transition, that was really what was huge in their comeback effort over the Tigers. But we just saw Duke struggle to be able to do so consistently against this Cougar defense themselves. And that's exactly how Houston will beat you, man. It's ugly. Their offensive sets can be like miserable to watch at times and to sit through, right? But they will kill you in effort plays and loose ball plays, second chance opportunities. They're just pretty much relentless, man, and quite literally would just wear out their opponents. We saw the Blue Devils frustrated and looking to the officials, man, late in that game, kind of looking for bailouts. There was that typical like wore out look from a team, man. Just like, look, please, man, just could you blow your whistle? Like, let me catch a break. Because I mean, Houston was taking it to them at the this final 3 minutes of the game, man. It was like I said, relentless. And then you look at the difference in pace between these two teams and the tempos at which they want to play the game, man. And that is really the two biggest differences between them. Florida sits at 59th in terms for adjusted tempo. Like I said, they're going to want to get out here and run and gun. Houston sits at 360th, right? They want to muck the game up, man. They want to make it ugly, and they want you to work for everything that you get and wear you down. And they have done that to success throughout the course of the season. Now, the battle on the glass is also going to play a huge factor into this one as well, because both of these teams have been great on the offensive glass throughout the season. Florida sitting at 10th for offensive rebound percentage, Houston sitting at 11th. Overall, looking at it from a number standpoint, Florida has fared better on the glass overall on the year. They are 11th for offensive rebounds and third overall for total rebounds per games, while their opponents are only 313th on the offensive glass, 105th overall for total rebounds. The Cougars on the season were 40th on the offensive glass, with their opponents at just 101. But overall, for total rebounds per game, they are just 101st themselves, while their opponents come in at 23rd. But in my opinion, it's kind of one of those classic examples, man, of like numbers be damned, right? I'm looking at it from what my eyes have told me, to this point instead. Look, Florida out rebounded Auburn 39-30. They pulled in 12 offensive rebounds to Auburn's 9, but we just saw Houston out rebound a good rebounding team in Duke themselves by 11, 42-31. They pulled in 18 offensive rebounds to Duke's 10. And the big difference to me watching these games and these two teams throughout the season, Florida, like most teams, man, they grab the offensive rebound and they immediately look to put it back up from the paint for second chance scoring opportunities, right? Houston looks for those second chance scoring points by like kicking the ball out to the perimeter for typically a good looking three. And looking at Florida offensively, we know Clayton is a huge part of what they do. So slowing him down is obviously priority number one. And man, look, this dude is great, man. There's no other way to put it. He's got it, man. Whatever that is, he's got that special something for sure. But Houston has the guys along the perimeter to just keep throwing at him. And while I think he's still going to get his to a degree, it'll be the toughest game of the season for him, in my opinion. He's going to work for every single bucket that he does get. The Gators were 33rd for 2-point shooting percentage, 76 from three. But Houston's defense sits in the top 5 for two-point shooting percentage allowed, and they have only given up just over 30% shooting from 3 on the year as well. So, at the end of the day, man, Vegas sees this as a pick 'em, and while I could see a path for the Gators as well in this one, I definitely wouldn't try to talk you off of that side if that's where you're at, if that's where you're feeling confident. But I'm riding with the Cougars, man, in that defense. The defense still wins championships, and ultimately, I just think this is one of, if not the toughest defensive units that I've seen in my time watching college basketball. Combine that with their heart, the coaching of Sampson and his staff, man, like, you just man, run back those final 3 minutes of the game and watch the communication between Sampson and his team. Man, he led them to victory in that game. Like, it was beautiful. Now you take that along with the perimeter shooting, the playmaking from the guards that Houston has, the experience that this team has playing together. Like, man, I'm trusting this group of guys to get it done. I feel like I faded Houston too much this season to be a fool to fade them in this one, right? So I'm riding with the Cougars in this one, man. And I said it in my Duke and Houston video that whoever won that game, I had them winning it all. I thought that those two teams were the best two teams in the nation. I still feel that way, and I'm sticking to that, man. So I got to go with Houston, man. Duke was minutes away from being one win away from being talked about as one of the best college basketball teams of all time, right? And we saw Houston completely dismantle them and that whole narrative in a matter of 3 minutes. Florida's offense, it feels less balanced than Duke's, far more reliant on one player in Clayton than Duke was with Flag. And then defensively, they don't have nearly the same length and athleticism as Duke. They've looked shakier on that end as well in general than the Blue Devils. So, like I said, man, I like Houston on the money line here. Then for the total, I think, with what we've discussed already in this video, it makes looking at this number kind of simple, right? If you like Houston, you're probably going to like the under. And then if you like Florida, you're probably looking at the over. You know what I mean? I personally just saw this Houston team hold an explosive Duke offense to just 67 points. And I like Houston to win this one outright. So I'm leaning under for this one as well. But full disclosure, man, this line has moved to plus money over at DraftKings, and not gonna lie, man, I don't have any number-based data to back this up. This is just a personal feeling of mine. But when I see the total stay at the same number, and all of a sudden one of the sides moves to plus money, I'm always leery, and I typically just stay away personally. And check the pin comment down there. There's always a link down in that pin comment that's going to send you over to the Guy Boston Sports website. And that's where all of my final plays will end up living. The only play that I have in right now, I did take Houston on the money line. And guys, I took that instantly after they beat Duke. I mean, like, the final just popped up on the TV. I pulled up FanDuel, right? And I saw them at plus money. So yeah, I took them at plus money, man, and like I think it was at plus money for maybe 10 minutes. And then I look back and both of them are at minus, I think Florida's minus 115, Houston minus 102, something like that, minus 108. So yeah, it was short-lived, man, and I jumped in when I saw it, and I'm glad I did, 'cause like I said, I'm on the Houston side, and one of the few at plus money, it looks like. So that is gonna do it, guys. That's gonna wrap us up here. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I hope you found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash that like button down there and hit subscribe if you have not already. And that's gonna do it, guys. It's been a blast running through this tournament with you guys. It has been quick, man. This thing flew by. We are already here doing the championship video. That is insane to me. So it's gonna be a couple weeks before you see my face again, but I will pop up here with a WNBA's future video here shortly. And then, man, we'll be, looking for the WNBA season to start here in roughly a month. I hope you guys cash out big, and I'll see you on the next video. 105th overall for total boards. 105th overall for total reboard.